Hello and welcome to MBH's live principals event. So this is an hour that we do every quarter to talk to you all about what's going on with MBH and more specifically what's going on with the companies in MBH and all the wonderful people that are within those companies and those industries within the group. So really pleased to be joined today by Joe Turner from UK Sports, Vicky Smith from Samuel Hobson House, Bernie from BEP Engineering over in Canada, Paul Vaughan from Academy Group 1, Jim Burton from Boulder Sausage over in Colorado, and Kevin Potter from Guild Prime, and Maria Reason from KS Training. So great to see that we've got so many principals here today. And I'm your host, Vicky Sylvester. If you do have any questions during this event, please do feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll aim to answer those questions. And if not, we'll reach out to you after and answer those questions for you. So fantastic to be back. It's felt like quite a while, to be honest with you, and a lot's been going on. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Joe and Vicky and Maria and Bernie to the screen. So huge welcome to all of you. Hope you're all having a good day today. So really wanted to share with investors, we've recently all been together in Phuket. We did meet earlier in the year in the UK. We went off to the Lake District and got some countryside and some nice air. And this time we travelled all the way over to Phuket to spend some time together. So I really wanted to share with investors about, what kind of things we do and how we find those events, because for a long time, we didn't manage to get together. And now the world's reopened, we're starting to spend some time together. So I'll start with you first then, Vicky. Tell us, what did we do in Phuket? What was Phuket all about for us?
Well, it was a great few days spending with the principals. I had such a great time, and I know probably everyone else did. So it was so nice to be able to work in teams. And what we did was create a new fantastic businesses, nothing like what we currently do. And it was just great to go through the motions and how much talent we've got as a group together, working collaboratively together. It just proves that it works.
Yeah, so for investors that are watching, we kind of gamified the few days, and that makes it sound like it was easy. It was actually really hard work. We were set a challenge to go and set a business up, and it was all about how we were working together and all the different skills we were pulling together. And I think for anyone that thought we were going there to sit and have a bit of a jolly, it was the complete opposite of a jolly. It was actually really stretching our brains. But if I go to you, Joe, what were some of your reflections and learnings and from being together at that event?
I think I echo what Vicky was saying. It was nice to meet people that perhaps couldn't make it to the UK. So that was the first thing that was great, to meet people, Bernie being one of those who was in my team. So it was understanding everyone's kind of skill sets. So when you have this concept of create a new organization from scratch, all the way from doing your own research and development, all the way through to pitching to potential investors, you worked out your comfort zone quite a bit in some areas. So for me, the collaboration was great. Understanding more about the intricacies and knowledge that different principals have, for me was good, because you don't see that day to day. We do speak, sometimes in our vertical in education, we speak a lot, but cross-vertical networking and understanding how they think about business and business concepts was good. I learned a lot, and it was hard work.
It was hard work, even though when I've looked at all the pictures, there's lots of pictures of us with a beer. Which doesn't actually reflect how much work it was. So what about for you, Bernie? Because obviously you came into the group out of this bunch here a bit later on, and you came to the UK, and now you've been over there, and you're the only business in Canada at the moment. So, what did you find? How was your experience with Phuket?
Well, just as Joe's talking there, I thought, there's English, in all its forms, and then there's kind of a technical language, and then I guess there's kind of a business language. And I don't really get to do much with the business language like I do, and I did at that, where you dissect the business and all of its elements, and speak to that. Usually, I'm more on the technical side of the language and in doing the work per se, the project, but not developing the business is quite different. And as well, the additions that we did beyond that portion there with acquiring and merging and such too was also a very foreign field of discussion for me to grasp, but very interesting.
Yeah, so some of us stayed on, didn't we, for an additional 3 days and spent some time with people that are working on mergers and acquisitions and different things that they've been doing and approaches to that. So for you, Bernie, then, did you get some valuable learnings out of that, spending time with those businesses that are not in the group as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I did. Because again, they're bringing other perspectives, broader perspective to the whole thing. That was, definitely very interesting. I can see it being very useful too. Yeah. And lots more to learn on that though.
Yeah. I think this is the gift we have. I think, just regardless of country, regardless of industry, actually, when we come together, it's about sharing those skills as much as it is about sharing the knowledge and learning about where each other's strengths and weaknesses are. And, that was some of the things that I was taking from the event, is understanding where people's skill set is in the group, and then how as a group we can use that and kind of leverage that to go forward. So what about for you, Maria? What was your highlights and key learnings from the get together in Phuket?
So I probably had a lot of key learnings because this was my first formal principal event. And yes, it was very, very busy. We all worked very hard, but it was absolutely amazing. For me, I learned a lot more about the other companies and the group. And I think whether or not the companies are in or outside of the verticals that you're in, you learn a lot about how people manage their own business, how they're working towards growth, and to listen to the other principals and how they're moving forward. We're all sharing practices. It's absolutely amazing to see how everybody else and the team can help and can share, really. I think just getting to know everybody better and learning about everybody, and just it gave me loads more thought that I've certainly brought back.
Yeah, and business is about relationships, isn't it? And it's about learning from others. And I know we get asked a lot as a group, what does collaboration look like? But it sort of starts with exploration for me. And I think these kind of events create an environment where we can just start to understand what everybody else does and what everybody else brings to the group. Because what was fascinating to watch, I mean, the mission was to go and set up a business from scratch and pitch it to investors at the end of the 3 days. But what's fascinating to watch is that how when you get a bunch of entrepreneurial minds together in a room, the level of creativity was actually fantastic, wasn't it? To kind of see,
Yeah.
and hopefully people will have built relationships that they're going to take forward. I mean, was there any opportunities for any of you, do you think, to work with now some of the other companies in the group? Did those, I suppose, early discussions, did anybody experience some of those during the time they were there? Joe, I'll go to you first.
Well, yeah, actually, I spoke to Vicky, who's also on this call, about maybe I could bring a different perspective to the industry she's in when looking at growing, maybe growth through acquisitions. It's not an area that I have expertise in whatsoever, but I may come with some ideas that are a bit left field, maybe able to support. So that's one thing we had done. I'm not sure I have the industrial knowledge to help Bernie out over in Canada, but you're right. I think for us, you kind of build relationships where you could then pick up the phone and say, what would your perspective be on this scenario or this potential deal that I'm looking at or this problem I've got? And because you've worked with them for those 3 days or something that you're both not used to, you understand how their kind of thought process works. And if you're looking for a different perception on your problem, I think that was quite strong. So I would be phoning Bernie for sure, because he thinks very differently to I do. So yeah.
But that diversity of thinking really came through. And I think as well, we talked a lot about shared challenges, didn't we? And so for example, an area around recruitment and retention, and we had some very detailed conversations about that as well. So Bernie, did you find any of those conversations where we had shared challenges have been useful to you? Is there anything you're going to take back, do you think, in your own business?
Well, I'm definitely challenged here. Challenged to the hilt. So one of the things that in our group there, I think that there was elements that could be shortcutted and go directly to the right people to get things done, and don't be shy of that. And so that's I kind of developed that where just go right up to people and not drive down the road. If they look like they could use my services, I'll just go in there and see who I can talk to, kind of thing, and then move on. And often as not, it's fairly well received, and we have somebody that might be interested down the road. And same thing with a trade show. You hook them out of the aisle, and they don't know you from Adam, but so you both talk about what you do and see if there's something that can be carried on as a resource, us being a resource to them in the future. And it sort of makes for a quicker movement through the obstacles in making up a business, I guess, or doing business.
And what about you, Vicky? Did you find that listening to how others have overcome some of their challenges that they face or have faced, and did that generate any ideas for you of what you could
do? Definitely. So I know I'm in a different industry I think I was the only health vertical there in Phuket. But listening to everybody, especially in our group, we've all got similar struggles. It may not be exactly the same. It may be like specific to our businesses, but listening to everyone and what they were saying, there is areas that I can take. I know me and Joe were talking about like fundraising, and maybe I need to push the business out there, like more marketing and things like that. And it's something I have thought of, but I just needed that outside person to say, have you thought of this?
Yeah, no, you could definitely see that people were sharing ideas in their industries that others could take forward and apply in their businesses, which that's really positive. And Maria, coming to you, talk me through a little bit about how you're with a group of people that you don't spend time with day to day. You've got 3 days and you're on this mission. How did the relationships evolve over those few days? Did it take you back to some grassroots, I guess, of relationship building, and trying to work on a project with people?
Yeah, it certainly did. And I always think it's different when you meet people in person also. And I think in terms of, just wanted to touch on what else we took away is within the education vertical, we have Gabriel from Learning Wings. So he's based in Singapore, and the training processes that Gabriel follows at Learning Wings compared to what we follow in England are completely different. But he certainly took things from me, and I've certainly took things from him, so that I can put in place some of his good practices, and vice versa. But spending the time and talking about what my weakness is might be someone's strength, what my strength is. Someone might need help with, and that is just something that you can rarely find, really.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. And I think that I think you form relationships for life as well, don't you, in there, when you're working so intensely with people over a short period of time to get ideas. The first task was go and think of a business idea. 1 hour, off you go. And we were thrown into a space with people we've perhaps not seen for a very long time, or even never met at all. 1 hour, to come up with a business idea. You know, it's actually quite hard to do. I don't know if everybody else found that, but you know, but then once you got the idea out, the ideas just kept coming, and you could kind of see those relationships over the week really gelling together with those ideas. So so that's fantastic. So I hope that's given investors an idea about how, I suppose, how we're working together collaboratively, what that can look like, and what we're trying to achieve. So so I'm just gonna say goodbye to Joe and Bernie for a minute, because so go on.
Can I add one thing? I found that the group had expertise in different areas that could really help each other to fill in a more complete perspective on it. That was really kind of cool. So I see that as in the future, as if I have anything coming up that I might struggle with in part of my business, I know I can draw on some of them as well, or others to, you know, in the future meetings we have as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's all about, Bernie. So it's really good to hear that you'll do that, and I really hope people do, because that's the next bit now, is actually making sure people keep that motivation up and, you know, keep getting in touch with one another and reaching out. So yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. And we're very fortunate because we've just had another member of our team drop in, which is Melissa, who's mum of driving as we do the event. So good to see you, Melissa. So the reason why I've kept you guys just on the screen for a second, I'm just going to mute Melissa. I'll unmute you in a second. There's just a little bit of background noise. Is I just wanted to let investors know that we do a number of leadership programs within the group. So these have been driven by principals in the group. And one of those is aimed at aspiring and existing female leaders in the group, and how together we're developing and hopefully attracting more female leaders to want to come into the group and join us. And I suppose I wanted just to see from and share from Vicky and Maria, we're on cohort 2. Yourselves and Melissa were on cohort 1 and have come again on cohort 2. I think we originally had around 27 of us. We're now nearly 45, 50 women coming together. So it's really coming together. But I really wanted to see what you're gaining from that, really, and how you're finding that program and what you're learning from it. So perhaps if I go to Maria first.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. The guest speakers that we've had in the last cohort and so far in this cohort, they share the rarity of their, you know, startup and where they are now, and from just seeing how people have grown in their company, from the challenges they faced to the highs, and what journey they've been on. And you can really relate to them and learn from them. You know, think, oh yeah, you know, that's, you know, I've been there in my business and I found that really good, really positive. And everybody's rooting for everybody in the group, and they will ultimately share everything that they've been through from the startup of their business to where they are now. It's just absolutely amazing for us women to share everything and to come on this journey.
Yeah, I've just had to take Melissa off. Sorry, I can see that her signal's struggling, so I don't want to make it awkward for her. And what about you, Vicky? What have you benefited from out of the female leadership program?
I think, especially from the last cohort, I think I networked after with quite a few of the females on the last cohort, and then, like Maria's saying, really, it's the guests, because they are amazing. I get emotional with every single one I listen to, because I think, like Maria said, I can only echo what Maria said. It's the rarity, and you can, not all the stories are the same, but there is moments in and I must say the majority of the guest speakers, what they do, I can see myself within there. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is being able to identify with somebody and say, oh yeah, we've had a shared journey and a shared experience, and sharing, I suppose, you know, how we've addressed all of those different
and it's
challenges.
not all the highs, is it? It's not all, it's not glamorized, it's not made, you know, this is what it is being a female in business, in leadership. It is everything.
Yeah. And one of the things we do on the program is once a week we meet up to reflect on the previous speaker, and we do something where we're processing opportunities and challenges. So like a board you can't afford type model, where somebody might have something they want to share, and then the rest of the team ask questions and maybe contribute thoughts and ideas. So I know, Maria, you've had the opportunity to be the person in the spotlight, you know, in that group. But you know, what are you benefiting from that, and what's the experience of that?
So yeah, I shared in Monday's session, and from the questions that I was asked following from me sharing, it's the knowledge and that's shared in the group, and the areas that you probably haven't thought of but would really work, and just, you know, everybody, you know, just supporting and thinking and saying, oh, have you tried this? We follow this process. I can share this with you. You know, even we have, you know, have separate meetings, and just that network of support and sharing. And you know, I you know, Monday I had a bit of a stressful day, and then, you know, after our meeting and I shared, it's just like so refreshing, because, you know, you're sharing all this knowledge in your group, and yeah, it's just amazing.
And I think the idea of that group is to focus on the can-dos, isn't it? And I think really embracing what women bring in business. But that isn't the challenge, actually. I think the challenge is very often women recognizing what they bring into a business, and that them being themselves, and those things they're bringing in all add to the diversity. And, you know, I know we had a great conversation with the last speaker about being herself, you know, and not feeling like she has to be different to fit in with the crowd, and, you know, her natural ability to collaborate, and a natural ability to pull people together and diffuse situations and all that kind of thing actually has a really important part. So I think we've been gaining quite a lot from those kind of, I suppose, inspiration for each other, I guess.
Yeah.
I think as well, how I feel is, I mean, I've not shared anything yet, but in the coming weeks I will do. I think I find it a safe space to be vulnerable and put that on the line, where people will listen to what you've got to say, and there's no judgment. You know what I mean? People are, like Maria said, they're there to support you.
Yeah. A true camaraderie, isn't there, in there? It's a real strong vibe of trust and camaraderie, and I think that's one of the great things for me that MBH has brought, because prior to MBH I was a business leader running my business, you know, on my own, out there in the world, and you kind of get that engagement, and not just from the female leadership program, but from all the interactions we have with all the different company owners. And, you know, I think that's one of the real values. You know, if you're a business owner, it's a real valuable thing to have, and I definitely think supports you with opportunities, challenges, adversity, making decisions, just knowing you've got that. Because very often I've found that we know the answers, we know what we need to do. When you can bounce off each other and you can get other people's opinions, it might prevent you from tripping up somewhere, or it might give you a different perspective and, you know, make you change your plans slightly. But I just think it just adds so much value to everybody.
Just looking at things in a different light, you know, just from, you know, people have got all different levels of, you know, they're on all different wavelengths of where they are in the journey. And if someone can share what they've been through or what works well, just sharing.
Yeah, and I'll be blatant about this. You know, part of this is to try and encourage more women into the group. you know, to make that leap and say, do you know what, this is a group I want to be part of. You know, so Vicky, going back to you as a woman with a business in the group, you know, how does the group feel to you compared to what you thought it might feel like, you know, when you were first looking at MBH?
Yeah, I didn't realise how, I don't really know what I thought the group would be like. I thought it would be very, very much meetings that were structured, and I'm not saying they're not structured, but you know what I mean, very, very formal. I thought it would be, you know what I mean, and it isn't that. I think we've all got the same goals. We all want each business to do well.
Yeah, so there's a bit more depth to
yeah.
And what about you? What about you, Maria? What was your thought it might be like, and now as a woman in the group, what is it really like? How does it feel?
I think I had my own hopes of what the support network would be like, what would be like as a group, and it is that. I'm all very much a team player, and everybody is, and you know, supporting growth and sharing knowledge is what I thought it would be, and how it work.
Yeah. So very quickly before I move on, I have tried to add Melissa, but I just don't think the signal's right. But before I move on, I'm going to move on to talking a little bit about what's happening in people's industries at the moment and what they're seeing. So Vicky, what are you seeing in social care? And you know, what's the general feel from your perspective at the moment about Samuel Hobson and how things are going there?
Yeah, so I'll start off with the positive about Samuel Hobson. So we are a finalist for the National Care Awards for Care Home of the Year. So it's something, I know, something that we are so proud of. We are really proud because we're obviously just a 39-bedded home in Staffordshire, as I always say on every call. But to become a finalist for the nationals is just, it's immense. In the care sector, I know there's a lot about staffing recruitment and retention. That is something that we've been so lucky with at Samuel Hobson, but I do know out there people are struggling, and there is more need for carers to join health and social care, to join care settings, whether that be domiciliary care or care homes or nursing homes. And I just think that needs to be, and I know the government are trying to promote it because it is such a skilled, it's a skilled career at the end of the day. I think in terms of Samuel Hobson House, we've got our difficulties at the minute, energy prices, food prices, cost of living's going up. But we're just focusing on the can-dos at the minute and obviously just giving fantastic quality care.
Yeah, and you've got a really stable workforce, and I think that's really credit to all the things put in place, to be honest, because that's not easy to achieve. So I'm going to bring on some of the other principals to join us. So I'm going to add Kevin and Jim and Paul. So really good to see all of you as well. Great to have you here. So Jim, tell us about what's happened for you guys over at Boulder Sausage, and how's the world looking from Colorado?
Well, welcome from Boulder, Colorado. So it's early in the morning here. So from a business standpoint, as everybody has said, it's very, very challenging right now. Both, employee hiring issues, supply chain issues, inflation, transportation, all of those things are impacting us. From a supply chain issue, lead times for parts and supplies are not improving. They're actually moving out. And so a lot of the supply chain issues we've experienced are not getting any better yet. Inflation continues to be a major issue for us. Pork hit an all-time high in August. It has backed off a little bit, but it is still 15% higher than it was a year ago at the same time. And just recently, I started receiving notices of 12% increases in supplies effective January 1st. So that inflation is not slowing down in our business at all. Transportation costs are a big issue because almost all of our supplies are shipped to us via truck. And so the lack of drivers, the cost of diesel fuel, all of those are significantly impacting it. We're now getting fuel surcharges. We're seeing like our pork suppliers actually increasing their rates because of transportation. And then, of course, finally, employees. We're very fortunate. We are fully staffed at this time, but we continue to find it very difficult to find employees, especially at the production manufacturing level. Those are really hard jobs, and we're just having a very difficult time finding people that want to do that today. Everybody wants to build an app that will, be the next Facebook, but we're not finding a lot of young people that want to work in manufacturing. So that's a challenge. From an industry standpoint, it's really all of these things are starting to come together. We're starting to see demand destruction at the grocery store level. People today are struggling with balancing rent and transportation costs, buying gasoline and buying food. And so all of those challenges now are starting to come together, and we're actually seeing demand destruction at the grocery store level. Some of our major grocery retailers are seeing 10 to 15% less sales than they were for the same period a year ago. And of course, all of them struggle with employee issues. So we're seeing staffing shortages at both the warehouses and in the grocery stores. And that's really critical to our business, because if the product's not on the shelf, the customer can't buy it. So we constantly have our merchandisers, we have our brokers in the stores trying to help the retailers, trying to help them stock the shelves, trying to help them in every way we can.
So bearing with that all in mind, because I think anybody in business at the moment is feeling like it's immense, isn't it? The pandemic was one thing, but it's almost like, I don't know if everyone else has found this. This is almost more challenging of an environment in some respects. So how are you overcoming those challenges? You've mentioned obviously working with your customers closer, so has it created some really good opportunities as well within all of this? And how are you finding those and making sure you're in a good position for those?
Yes, we are. So we're working very close with our customers. So we're increasing our promotions to try to help them with promotions at the store level. We're putting our merchandisers out in the store. We're trying to be real partners with them, and that will create long-term benefits, because if they see that we want to be a partner, then they're going to reciprocate with us. So the other things that we're doing is we're looking for other partnerships, and other things. So right now we're working with another company where they do ready-to-eat meals, and they're going to probably start using our pre-cooked skinless products in their meals. We're working with another company. We're going to come out with a premium burrito line. And we're working with a company that already makes burritos, but they're used to making, just the crap that you buy every day at the grocery store. And we're going to create a really premium, clean label, higher quality burrito. And we're going to be targeting the delis, the grab and go at the delis and the major retailers. We're also working on some acquisitions where we would actually probably acquire a company that specializes in institutional food service. We're doing all of these things to try to diversify our products, diversify our customers, and diversify our geography. So, even if we just are successful in one of those, it will have a significant benefit and contribution next year in terms of both revenue and EBIT. So we're trying to, once again, work with our existing customers, but also continue to diversify our business. So even if, we see demand destruction in one segment, we're not going to let that slow us down.
And I love that, because I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's that focusing on the opportunities. And, we have these set of circumstances. We're all having to address them in whatever way, but it's actually driving you down a path of diversification, more partnerships, spending more time with your customers. And they're all great opportunities to drive that business forward that will probably pay dividends in the future that may not have happened without this, complicated set of circumstances that you find yourself in. And is that what you're experiencing?
Yes, I think sometimes we get lazy with the status quo. And I think when we get really challenged, I think sometimes, we have to really sort of pick up our game and realize that we need to look at different ways to run our business and different things to do. So yes, I mean, the challenges, I think, are making us a better business.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we don't like too many challenges. Like this, we've had a lot lately, but equally, I do think you get the best out of entrepreneurial minds when there is a challenge to be solved. And I think that's why we're seeing so much creativity, different types of behavior, different types of working relationships. And, that's fantastic to see. So Kevin, coming over to you, similar question. What are we seeing in construction at the moment?
Yeah, so construction has been a very challenging year for us this year, or for everybody in the construction industry in the UK. Price rises at the beginning of the year has been horrendous. We've had 40% price hikes in steel, cement, plasterboard products. So it's been challenging to monitor that and to keep on top of things. But I think things are starting to level off now. Certainly, price hikes have seemed to have slowed or stopped. So I'm sort of more optimistic that things have sort of leveled off now. Obviously, we've still got the high energy prices, but even they're starting to come down now. So tenders are still coming in. Tenders haven't stopped. So there's lots of good projects in the offing for next year. So it has been challenging, but I think it's I think we've ridden out the storm. I think the worst price hikes are certainly behind us.
Yeah. So you're optimistic about where things are going. We're going through a phase of, the next phase is probably just something settling down and I suppose being able to get some stability, I guess, going forward is your prediction.
Yeah, I think certainly. I'm not obviously with the political dramas we've had in the UK has been quite horrendous the last few weeks. But I think we've had the best outcome possible from that, and I think now the market seems to have stabilised, and I think there's confidence back in the market again from sort of confidence being fast down to zero. But there seems to be confidence. It's just interesting in the last few days, just some projects that was. We've been talking about, we've won some tenders, and there's clients talking about whether they wanted to proceed because there's a lot of bothering. But I think they're now, the confidence seems to have come back already, and projects that we're talking about maybe going on hold and now come back online again. So I'm sort of feeling a little bit more optimistic. So I've got fingers crossed that that's going to carry on to next year.
Yeah, it certainly has. In the UK, been a rough couple of months politically. I mean, even in the education, I think we're on our 5th minister in about 8 weeks or something ridiculous like that. And the problem with it is it's confidence, but it's also the pace. It just slows everything down while we keep bringing somebody else in, and then the next week it's somebody else and somebody else, that the market becomes unsure which direction to go in. To kind of keep. So have you felt a similar? I mean, to be honest, I don't think anybody could not have felt the political rough edges of the last few weeks. But has that been the same for you guys in construction? Yeah,
it has. In the construction, certainly the price hikes have been the biggest challenge this year. It's just been incredible. I mean, we're getting emails on a Friday saying that something's going to be going up by 12% on Monday. And we've already priced that, we've costed it. We can't go back to our client and increase those costs. But again, I think because we've got long-standing clients, we stood by our tenders, stood by our contracts, and our clients are seeing that. And that's like where there's other contractors that have taken the opportunity to try and hike their prices, retract contracts. And they're having contracts pulled away from them. So I think standing fast and looking after our clients, it's a long-term game. And so we've worked with clients for 20, 30 years, and actually you only do that by building up a good reputation and riding out the rough periods. You can't just because you've got a bad contract that suddenly materials have gone up potentially over a few months. If you can discuss that with your client and you've got a good working relationship with your client, you can maintain that and carry on. But, I think there's been some contractors have tried to take advantage of that, and I think they've been found out and left wanting. So
yeah. So this is like the benefit of your experience and those relationships you've worked hard at, and it's back to basics, isn't it, of looking after your customers and doing the right thing by them pays back later on. And it's interesting, Jim was touching on a similar thing in their industry, is that it's about the customers at the end of the day.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, so staff has been a big problem this year as well. I know the employment rate in the UK has been, the unemployment has been the lowest it's ever been in history. So getting new staff, but again, we've been lucky. We've got staff members that have been with us for 25, 30 years plus, and their staff retention's good. Again, it's interesting. Most companies within inside MBH, they've all got a similar scenarios where staff retention is good. So I think if you've got a good company, good ethos, you're looking after your staff, you're looking after customers, you will look after each other. So the staff retention, and that does seem to run right the way through MBH. I don't think that's any surprise really, but why everybody's doing so well.
Yeah, and I think as well, because we're established companies, we're a safe pair of hands for people that have worked with us for a long time. I think the customers really benefit and understand that safe pair of hands, don't they? That then we're going to do everything to try and overcome these challenges and work with them collaboratively to get there. And it does have a value actually, especially in times like this. Yeah,
I mean, the staff jumping, say in the construction industry, some of the wages have gone up. Some staff wages have probably gone up by 15-20% this year, which is just crazy. And there's been a lot of people changing jobs, getting an extra 5-10% to moving jobs. But when you've got long-term staff and they've seen the differences, they've seen the sort of just jump into one company to another in the long term is not good for them, not good for the company. So looking after the staff it's got huge benefits.
Yeah, and the skills guys and the education guy are working on helping to address some of these skills issues as well. So, I know from my perspective, when I sit and listen to you all and you're telling me about your industries, it really gives me good insight as an education business as to where the need really is, if that makes some sense. Because there's a lot of data out there. There's a lot of analysis and a lot of, think tanks saying this, that, and the other. But actually, when I get to speak to you guys and hear about what's really going on the ground, it makes it a lot easier to understand where education can help, address some of these skills gaps and reskilling, upskilling, and the whole movement of the market, and share that more widely with other networks and things like that, so that it's all being fed in together. It's a very, very powerful, very, very powerful thing. So Paul, over to you then. Good to see you, because it's been a while, I think, since we've had you on one of these. But what are you seeing in education from Academy Group One's perspective?
Academy One's it's the same feelings as you, Vicky. I mean, the industry is moving on quite nicely. I think the thing is getting the staff for the wages and because of the way the present economic situation is that. We're struggling to sort of like match the wages demands to try and get the right staff in, and we have to look at a different tact really, and try and build some sort of incentive schemes into the wage structure and work on our incentive payments ourselves. So I think the biggest problem I've got is making sure that we get the quality right. We've had a bumpy year. I'm not going to sit there and say, we've been through 3 Ofsteds and one audit this year. I mean, it's been an incredible challenge, and I've never experienced anything like it in my life. But we've gone through it, and I think everybody in the company, staff-wise, we've been fantastic, and especially the people that do the audit. The audit, I've never seen anything like it in my time. To have someone from the government sitting in an office next door demanding every piece of scrap of paper that you've got regarding the number of learners you've picked. So I think we've learned a lot this year as a company. We need to, I think as a company, to make it better, I'm always looking at way forwards, is to We need to look at leadership better, and we need to look at making sure the leadership can encourage the staff to do better and try and promote from within to create a better wage structure. So when we get someone in, so we can control, instead of going for the big bucks person that come in, we can train within and build up, and then keep a wage structure when people come in for fill the bottom job. So really looking at trying to promote within, and then we can get a stable way, and then get better people to train within the industry that we're delivering, and work in them grounds. But I think I just think it is going to get better. I think with the changes this week, it's been a manic 2 weeks in this country, and maybe it will be a film, I'm sure, what's gone on. And I think a lot of businesses have been very, very nervy regarding interest rates, and what banks are going to do and things like that. So the uncertainty, I think, will settle down and then settle our industry down, because obviously, fundamentally, for me and you, Vicky, in our industry, now we probably hold our breath for cuts. And what challenges is it going to arise regarding the way the government are going to look at the next round of thing on the autumn state, or the mini statement they're going to make next month. So I'm holding out on that one now and see where it comes from that angle for us, really, in our industry as well.
Yeah, and I think in the education industry in the UK, we're seeing a lot of change, but actually I think we're seeing a lot of positive change. There's a focus on streamlining the whole industry. There's a focus on getting further education and higher education closer together to make that journey for students and learners better. So I do think we're seeing some great movements amongst all of this, and it was very nice to hear, for those that haven't seen it, King Charles talking about apprenticeships and the value of apprenticeships, and how it would be great to see more vocational education in schools. This is music to my ears, right? This is absolute music to my ears, because it's those practical vocational skills when you get to business that we really need. We need academics. I'm not saying there's anything with the academic route. We need academics, but fundamentally, when I'm talking to businesses, it's those frontline skills. As Jim was talking in manufacturing, and Kevin's been talking in construction. It's those frontline skills. So that was quite reassuring to hear. So I'm an ever optimist anyway. So I think things are heading in a positive direction, and there's going to be changes, but I'm confident with that, and like you, glad to see.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is what you've just questioned on, in people like construction or manufacturing, is that I think for education on our side of the business is getting a better vocational, and then getting companies to invest in training, and using the tools that are out there for apprenticeships or traineeships or whatever sort of delivery they need. And I think that will make every industry stronger, in my opinion, but then it will make it a better and more quality and diverse delivery all round, with young people then getting on board.
Yeah, well, now hopefully we'll have a minister that's going to last more than 2 weeks. Maybe we'll actually start to get a clearer sense of direction. But yeah, that's great to hear. So before we wrap up, I'm going to bring some others onto the screen just to finish off, really. And what I wanted to ask is if there's any little wins that you wanted to share with investors, or any exciting news that you want to share with investors before we wrap up. So Kevin, I'll go to you first. Is there any little wins you want to share?
No little wins. I mean, we've worked a lot for Premier League football clubs, so I can't actually announce, but we've potentially won some interesting projects for some football clubs. So that's a big win for us. So more to be announced later.
Oh, fantastic! I can't wait to hear more about that when you're allowed to. Jim, any little wins or any great things going on that you want to share with investors?
Well, I think what I already shared. I mean, we're forming new partnerships. We're trying to get into the ready-to-eat meal business. We're trying to get into the burrito business. We're trying to move into institutional food service. So all of those things I think are going to be great wins for us if we can just be successful at some of those. So we're just continuing to build on. We believe that the way to grow our business is through partnerships and through acquisitions. The organic growth is very difficult, so we're really focused on that.
Fantastic. And remind me, I'm pretty sure you'd launched a new vegan range as well last time we caught up. Am I right on that?
We're working on it. In fact, I just talked to someone this week from Canada, and and they've been working on vegan sausage, on plant-based sausage, and so we're going to try to collaborate with them. We would still love to introduce a plant-based sausage line that is both healthy, nutritious, and tastes great. That's the most important thing.
I'm looking forward to that because I'm a bit of a veggie, so I'm quite looking forward to that. Vicky, any little wins for you guys over at
Yeah, I think I shared mine earlier, so I did mine prematurely. So sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's becoming a finalist or the National Care Awards for Care Home of the Year. So that's a big one for us.
Yeah, and it is, and it's a fantastic achievement and very, very well deserved, and just stands testament really to everything that you've done, particularly coming out at the back of a pandemic with that. I think is really admirable. So well done to you guys. Joe, any little wins or exciting news for UK sports?
A little win. I think it's quite a big win. I think at the start of the year, we set ourselves some quite ambitious growth targets in terms of new geographical areas. So we looked to expand from 2 to 6 academies by January. As of the 3rd of November, we will be at 5 academies that are live and functional, with the potential of 2 more coming on board from January. So we're ahead of our geographical target. We're ahead of our numbers target. So it's positive. And I think I missed the kind of talk earlier when you talk about how businesses have changed recently. Our businesses have done well in the sports sector, and we're seeing more mature students re-engaging with education. So that's something that we didn't plan on. We've now got 51% of our learners are 31 or above, and that's the first time it's really happened in our industry. So the pool of learners is actually increasing in the sports and fitness world.
Interesting. It'd be interesting to unpick why that's happening as well. Perhaps we'll catch up offline and find out. And Paul, what about you? Any little wins or exciting news going on for you guys?
Yeah, so we're happy to say that we've filled our main contract with 380 students, which has been quite a big challenge over the time between August to now, census point. So that's good. We've got 3 new traineeship contracts that come online now, and I think I was told today the service level agreements have been signed and they can start recruiting. Sales team said they got 20 starts already for next week for one of them, so we're quite happy there. And obviously, I've got some meetings next week with a new prime for study program to go national, because our prime that we've got now is quite restricted to the South Beach more. So I've got a meeting next week with their board of directors to see if we can open the door that we can go national with study program. We do get a lot of insights from people to come on board. So fingers crossed I can get the funding and start doing. And going on to professional football, the last little bit, we're doing a new project with Leighton Orient Football Club. We're trying to get a bespoke training or study program with these. So, but they want to do more challenging things like nutrition, physiotherapy, and things like that within the industry. And we've gone to it's not the trust at all. It's actually with the board of directors of Leighton Orient to set this up.
Fantastic. So more growth and expansion plans, it sounds, going on over there as well. Bernie, any little wins or exciting things going on for BP?
Yeah, very much. But I just want to say that I've heard a stat recently about trades, lack of, And there's for every 8 that are retiring right now, there's only 1 replacing them. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's what's happening over here. As far as wins in the company and stuff, we're in a different and very exciting phase, it seems, I've never seen before, where lumber industry went way high to like 4 times normal price in rentals and different things through the COVID period. And because of that, they've made so much money that they're faced with either paying a lot of taxes or putting that back into their plants. And so many are choosing to put that back in their plants, which we see is going to roll out projects for the next few years with more than normal, certainly not less. So very encouraging that way, and we're growing because of it. Also have a number of energy type projects that are somewhat tied to wood as well, that we're going to cause us to expand and open offices in other areas and merge and acquire, and all kinds of exciting opportunities there that are very, very close and getting to start. So it's all up for us as far as we can tell. We haven't really been pinched by the costs of things out there. They've quite accepted increases in our costs and hourly, and we are pinched a little bit in finding people. But still finding them. And so, yeah, it looks like we're not really hurting from inflation that much or COVID after effects. It's almost been helpful to us in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the diversification of the group, isn't it? That's the whole point. You know, where things are happening in one place, another place will be experiencing something different, or where one thing's a threat and a challenge for one business, it's an opportunity for another. And I think that's just adds to the value of why we're all together, really. And Maria, any little wins for KS that you want to share?
So a couple of targets I set around about springtime was to bring in other qualifications and to also bring in 2 new funding streams. So I'm happy to say we have brought in 6 new qualifications to meet local needs. We have secured 1 funding stream, with the second one, the application is commencing next week. I think the growth that can come from them will be absolutely amazing to meet learner needs. And the team are really excited about it.
Fantastic. And our little win for Acacia, I've got to share it, Ofsted, right? Because we're inspected every 5 to 7 years. It's one of the most business critical inspections you can have. 1 week and 10 inspectors later, Acacia passed their Ofsted, which if you're in the industry, you fully understand what I mean when I say that's been an absolutely massive win for us. And allows us now to progress onto that next phase of our plan as well. But what I'm hearing from everybody is, look, there's challenges, there's opportunities, but I'm hearing a lot about diversification, collaboration, expansion, new contracts, tenders being out there, customers working closely with us. So, you know, I think the picture's looking pretty positive, and you know, credit to you all for all the work that you do. So I'll just remove you all very quickly off the screen and just finish off by saying thank you so much to everybody for joining us. I hope that's been useful and giving you a little bit of insight into MBH and all the companies with MBH. And if you do have any questions, please do go to our website and you can email us directly from there. Happy to answer any questions that you've got. And take care, and hopefully we'll see you. Actually, it will be in 2023. So we'll be back again in January. Giving you an update on what our exciting plans are for next year. So take care and see you all soon. Thank you very, very much.